Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to install Locked-In, the app, and get it running on your system so you can start developing. And I'll show you how to install a lot of cool things in the meantime along with it so you know exactly how to work on it. So first things first, I'm going to assume you guys have a Windows computer so it'll be easier to follow along. If you don't have a Windows computer, get one. So much easier. Mac, you're going to run into some problems, but you can develop on iOS faster on Mac. And if you use Linux, you're wild. So open up Edge or whatever browser you're using, and we're gonna go to Chocolatey install CMD. You just type that in. It'll just go to the docs, and then it'll give you this code up here, and CMD. Boom, you paste it in. All you have to do is right click. It'll paste it in. It's gonna do two things. It's gonna install Chocolatey. It's gonna do an execution policy bypass, so you can use scripts. And finally, it's gonna add a environmental variable, so you can use Chocolatey from anywhere you are located in your command line. So all you gotta do is install with CMD, boom, paste it here. Now once you have Chocolatey, you can just go to the website itself, click community, and you click find packages, and there's a bunch of packages here. What you're gonna do is click this plus button to install all the packages you need. So I mean, if you want Chrome, boom, sure, I mean you probably already have Chrome, but we're gonna need to use VS Code. Here's the official VS Code. We're gonna add that to our package. Oh, where'd it go? All right, give me a second. Community, find packages. It should be like it's popular. Yeah, VS Code. Wow, it's not here. You're gonna want VS Code and you're gonna want Git. So let's just search for it. Yeah, VS Code plus, and then Git. Git is going to be useful to download our database, our sources. You want VS Code to figure out how to edit your things. You want Node.js, and that's pretty much going to be it. Like, we really don't need anything else to develop. We streamlined a lot of processes. We don't have to use complicated things like Docker, things like that. You should get Docker, though. Docker is one of the best things ever. I'm just yapping. But yeah, you go to this builder right here, click generate script. It'll generate a script for you. Choose the integration method, individual, it doesn't matter. Copy, and then all I gotta do is just right click. Right. Yep, you just copy the script, and you can right click in here. It'll automatically install all these things for you. By installing, you accept licenses for packages. Yeah, I mean, hope you do. Yeah, it's gonna take a bit to install. Come on, come on, come on. You got this. If just sometimes on the command line, when it doesn't work, things like, oh, and some things don't work when you have like, it's like freezing, and you see that nothing's happening. All you gotta do is just press a random letter. This is a known bug in Windows, and that makes sure that it'll work eventually. So it wasn't working earlier. Now we're on the Git install, and I did right click multiple times, so it's gonna keep installing for me and checking it. But as you can see, it's being installed. If I type in VS Code, boom, I have it. Git, still loading, and the third one is Node.js. So while these are installing, let's go to the GitHub. You can go to github.com/smirky or whatever. The link is definitely going to be in the thing. You go to locked in, and this is how you find the branch. So we're in locked in. This is going to be our current branch, but what we want to do is grab this code right here. This is how we clone using the web URL. And what do we do when we clone? So cool. That's the random letters I was typing. So I'm going to close this, and let's say I want to post it into documents. Make a new folder. I don't know. Hi. Well, I'll just make a programming folder. I always do this for every computer. I have a programming folder in my documents. And then right here, super easy, type in CMD, it'll pop it up. And now you can use GitHub from the command line from that folder without having to navigate at all. So let's try to pull all of this down. And all I have to do is git clone, right click, would paste if I copy this, right click. There we go. Now it'll make a folder for me called locked in. As we can see, we have all the stuff in here. So if I do cd locked in and hit tab, it'll autocomplete this for me. And then you just type in code, dot, and it'll open up Visual Studio Code for you right in that folder. Obviously trust the authors, developers. Yeah, of course you can trust me. But yeah, this is going to be your main branch. So I'm not sure if you know how to use Git, but this is what our branching looks like. So here's our branching. We've done a lot of updates and stuff, but what we want to do is we're going to work on this one, app revamp Firebase. This is the branch we're currently working on. And then everything should be based off of this branch. So we have to check this branch out. Like kind of like a book, you're checking out a copy of the code, checking out a copy of the book from the library. Same thing. What you want to do is go here. You can go here too. All you have to do is click this, and it'll have all of the branches open up. We want to find app revamp Firebase. It'll load it for us. It'll remove all the other files. Boom. We've successfully changed branches like super quickly. And then, yeah, so for example, let's say you make a change. I think I'll cover, I'll just cover it here. So this is how this whole app works. But what you want to do every time you install a new Node.js application, you can tell it's a Node.js application because it would always have a package.jsn. And at the bottom, so like if you're app.js, it'll say JavaScript at the bottom right here. And we know it's an Expo thing because I'm telling you, it's an Expo type of code. What Expo is, it's Expo runs React Native. So language we're using is React Native. React is a JavaScript rendering library on top of JavaScript. And then Node.js is a JavaScript runtime that is run locally on your computer instead of like a compiler or the browser. So it is interpreted and it runs. So React Native, this is you basically our mobile development platform. And then on top of that, we're using Expo. And then Expo is an ecosystem that helps you develop apps, and you can actually look at it easier. So Expo contains a lot of like predefined features, such as like a list that runs really fast or image compression that just comes with the library itself. And we're just going to use Expo and React Native. So what we want to do is npm install. All this does, it updates everything at once. And anytime you run any kind of JavaScript, even from the web, and you download it, if you do npm install, it'll install the right kind of things for you. So right now, it's gonna take a bit to install. It's gonna take a while. What npm install is, oh wow, that's fast. What npm install is doing is right here. I guess this is more easy to see. This node modules file. It's adding things to node modules. This is our git ignore. Things in the git ignore, make sure they don't get uploaded to GitHub. This node modules is the best way to know like what kind of libraries you're using. We're using a ton of libraries, and each library comes with its own set of dependencies, and that's why it grows almost exponentially every time you add something. There's things like JSON, Jest. Jest is a testing library. We don't use half these things, but what we do use is Expo. Expo comes with all these things. It requires it. And then just to start it, you want to do npm install, and then npm start. That's it. Npm start. Boom. Should I allow this? Yeah, I will allow the runtime. All you have to do is take your phone and scan this with your camera. Make sure you have the Expo app installed on your phone already, and it'll go. You can also just press A to open an Android. If you have an Android Studio installed already, it'll open it automatically. You're using the Go version. You can also switch to the development build by pressing S, and then development build will have like console.log outputs and things like that. So not sure about your experience with JavaScript, but this is what it's going to look like. Yeah, so this is where you start. You never have to open the node modules folder. It's literally not required. all you have to know is our components are basically our screens. And I grouped the screens. There's no specific way. I just grouped them how I liked it. Authentication, groups, because we're doing the grouping features for main screens, and then our posts. So when you just the navigation, this is how it works. So when React Native opens up your app, it goes straight to app.js and it goes, okay, what am I doing here? What I need to do in React? Everything, like every single UI component, is passed as a function. So if I go, oh my god, let me import navigation from navigation, and in my navigation, it's telling the entire app where everything is located. That's super simple. It's not as complicated as Android in Java, because just to make a new screen, you have to like edit like 10 different files. Not sure if they updated that, but that's what it looks like. And then here, this is called our navigator. It's our stack navigator. All it means is every time we ask for a new screen, it gets put on top. You guys know the data structure stack. That's pretty much it. It just gets stacked on top. And then when I use something like options, header, shown, false, it just means there's no back button at the top. So let's say we load. It goes straight to our initial route name as our authentication. And you go to authentication, boom, it'll pull it up here. So now we're on the auth screen. The auth screen is a great place to just start working on what you think we need to work on. And so it's going to, one thing you're going to notice is we have this file, Firebase config. This file goes directly here. And I will give it to you personally. We're not going to use this video to figure out if you need that file or not. But if you do need that file, it'll go right here. And then the rest of the app, he starts from the auth screen. So the authentication, your user logs in or signs up. And then this very key thing happens. So this navigation is passed through. So we have our navigation library right here, use navigation. And since we're getting this navigation library, yeah, I think that's giving us a couple of errors, but we might have to fix that later. But this navigation library, what it allows us to do is navigate to the next thing. So if I press this button, login, what it does, it goes to this on press. It handles the login and goes straight to like this login function right here. Oh, what's happening in login? Boom, there's an email, there's a password. It won't run this, but it'll run here. So if there isn't, it'll be like, oh, there's an error. If there is, okay, let's check it. Does it sign in an email and password? Super easy function. Okay, cool. Does it work? Yep. All right. So when that happens, what we do is we fetch the user profile and their authentication token, and we take all of that and store it on their device. And then we go to the next place, which is navigate our feed. We go straight to our feed right here. And this is our feed. That's a pretty much, like, that's where the main part of the app is. I'm still working on the feed. It's going to look a lot different in a couple of days. But one thing I want to note is always use Expo image. Because like I said earlier, Expo came with all the built-in functions. So Expo image it obviously scales things down and makes images load faster. You want to use this blur hash to make sure users don't see how your imaging library works in the backend. And if you don't understand any of it, shoot me a question or Google it or ChatGPT it. You got a lot of resources at your hands. One thing I've been struggling with is these buttons. Every time I try to edit something, I always forget to add these buttons in. These buttons are pretty important because this enables the rest of the app. So, for example, the user can click this, like post button, and then obviously what it's going to do is it's going to navigate. It's going to navigate to the name. So this post thing, when you go back to our navigation, you'll see that our screen named post, it's called post screen. That's the component. And then you can just open that module up wherever it is. You'll see it's right here, our post screen. This is what the post screen is doing. So that's basically it. Think of like links in a web browser. Think of HTML. This right here, it's called JSX. So the way all these screens work is there's a ton of JavaScript up here laying out how the screen works, and then this is basically how it looks. And all of these has a return function. What it does, it returns the look with its functions. It encapsulates it in its own little React like package right here. And then as you can see here, valid JavaScript, export default post screen. So then when you go back to navigation pulls it all together, saying, this is a function auth screen, this is a function feed screen, this is a function group screen. It's all pulling it together, putting it in these stacks automatically. That's about it. And happy developing.